What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining me here today. It's a wonderful day. Any day I can hit a few buttons on my computer and go live and have the opportunity to talk to you folks. It's pretty awesome. I'm just super grateful, thankful to be part of this space, and just happy you're here. It's Friday. It's 7/11. 2025. Life is good. We got a new Bitcoin all-time high breakout, so we're going to talk about that. We'll try to puzzle through some of these altcoins a little bit. I want to take a look at the altcoin market. So if you have, anything you want me to take a look at, there's a decent chance I'll be able to take a look at it. And we'll go from there. I like these. Of course, I'm Big Cheds, folks. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you can hear me. I like these. I like these interactive sessions. It really gives me a chance to just talk to you and get a sense and sentiment of the market. You can get a sense how everybody's doing. Some of you may not be aware, and again, this is going to be part of the quick market update series on YouTube. Folks, I have a brand new playlist, the Trading Encyclopedia. I'm doing a new video there every single day, and my goal of this playlist is for you, when you have a question, a concept, something you want to learn about, you can go to this playlist, and I'll have a 3-minute video on it. What's a downtrend? What's an uptrend? Moving averages? How to play a fake out? How to take profit? How to do the stop loss? What's the MACD? I'm recording videos. I've got like 30 videos I've already recorded that haven't come out yet. I have more to come. One new video every day. If you're looking for something and you don't see it here, let me know, because I want to record this video for you. This will be your trading encyclopedia. So check that out. And of course, trading quotes. I'm doing this whole book for free, my third book, because the trading journal's out. It's on Amazon right now, so I'm making, trading quotes for free. So check that out. Of course, I'm on Twitter, Big Cheds. If you're looking for an exchange, my favorite exchange is BingX and Bitcoin Live, where I'm a founding analyst. So Bitcoin's at 117K. It's fun. It's kind of, we're starting to get used to, price here, over 100K. And it's been forever under 100K, and it feels like at some point that could be the floor. Is it the floor now? I mean, we shall see. I don't know. We certainly don't have enough information, but it's one of those moments where when we're at an all-time high, like the fundamental analysis really creeps in, where you think, oh, this really should be twice. It should be 250K. It should be 300K because there's not enough coins in the exchanges, because everyone's copying Michael Saylor, because, all that stuff. And I still think you want to be more or less level to level and kind of just taking it as it comes, taking, things one step at a time, because we just know throughout history we can get some really nasty retracements and consolidations. And you just see here in the weekly picture all these moves back to the, the weekly MA200, which right now sits at like 45K, right? We're nowhere near it. There's really no indication that we're going to be anywhere near it anytime soon, but at some point we'll be there. So yeah, we're at all-time high. It's great, but let's manage our emotions. Let's stay grounded to the price, and let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. And continue to focus on the price. Continue to practice and evaluate things. So enough of that. Enough of the pep talk. What do we think about Bitcoin? Well, if you've been watching my videos here, Bitcoin Live, Twitter, I've been talking a lot about this consolidation, and the consolidation began with the inside bar back at the end of May. And inside bar essentially being, and by the way, folks, if you're watching something you don't understand, go to the Trading Encyclopedia or go watch the Masterclass tutorial playlist. It's going to help you. So you essentially have a big move up in an inside bar, especially after a large advance. It's telling you the beginning of consolidation. And so we've been consolidating. And you can refer to this as a high and tight consolidation, consolidating essentially in the top third of the move up, right? While rebalancing that short-term supply and demand, the price held support, held the EMA 8, held local range lows around 100, and just a very nice, clean, high time frame bullish consolidation, right? And we did have a brief dip here on the daily chart, right? We watched the price fail to hold the MA50 on the daily and push back and test these local range lows. Now, the loss, very simply, the loss and recapture of this level gave you a very easy long trigger, okay? I mean, you're already doing quite well from that long trigger at 100K, 101K. And it's the idea that you want to orient yourself to trade with the trend. You want to orient yourself, and I'll get back to the chat room, folks. You want to orient yourself to trade with the trend and buy a dip in an uptrend and mark out levels that you'd be interested in should the price get there. Not necessarily anticipating it's going to happen, but kind of just preparing yourself to be ready. So you had that nice little dip and recapture, and you're already doing really well from that. We had a similar type of structure on the recapture and loss of roughly 78K, but the 4-hour structure gave it just a beautiful long at 81K, right? Beautiful long at 81K, and then the 88.5 overhead. So there's been a million opportunities to get long. If you want to be long in Bitcoin, you should be. And should you be shorting here? No, you don't want to short an uptrend, right? You'd rather target a downtrend that's bounced and look for an opportunity. Like I was looking at like GRT, for example. It's a perfect example of a potential short setup where you have a well-defined downtrend. It's priced below a falling MA200. How do I know it's a downtrend? Again, folks, the Trading Encyclopedia series covers that for you. It's priced below a falling MA200. You have a bounce in a downtrend to a well-defined level. So a little bit around here or in this range, you're starting to look for a short. So even if you think the market's overextended, you're not going to target Bitcoin for a short. You're going to target some type of an altcoin, a weaker altcoin, INJ, Filecoin, something like that that's just bounced. And maybe look there. So that's that. That's kind of how you should be positioned if you want to short. If you want to be long, I think you should continue to be watching the stronger altcoins. I mean, XRP's been unbelievable. It held nicely at $2. It bounced back over, a brief deviation, and hold of that range. And then set the local range peak around 225, 230, broke out from that, and then just cleared 250. We'll see what today's candle brings. We are seeing a little bit of an upper shadow. It did nearly tag 3, a little bit of an upper shadow. We shall see. We'll just see what happens from there. We'll just see if Bitcoin, pulls back a little bit. I put out a tweet yesterday as maybe about a day early, which is fine, right? I'm not trying to necessarily time things perfectly, but I put out a tweet. I said, there's a good time to drop the low time frame and watch for any bearish pin bar, right? And so again, what's a pin bar? Again, the Trading Encyclopedia. A pin bar is just, you think of like a shooting star, like a small candle body with a long upper shadow. Even a gravestone doji, right? Any kind of long upper shadow candle. I'm essentially positioning myself to watch for that, thinking that Bitcoin has done a leg up, very nice leg up, may begin to consolidate, and if that happens, all these mercy bounces, in like weaker altcoins, those may be setting up for short opportunities. So there's a little bit of candle weakness here, like on sand, a little bit of candle. These are some bearish pin bars. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about yesterday, right? GRT, we just talked about why we'd be targeting it for a short. Here's a shooting star. Here's another shooting star, or gravestone doji is another shooting star. This essentially is 3 bearish pin bars in a row. Right, so this is the idea that's a good time to drop the low time frame. I said I'm on 4-hour. For me, that's a lower time frame. 4-hour is a low time frame. Even in classical charting, daily is a lower time frame, right? So we may get some of these bearish pin bars, and I wouldn't necessarily be targeting stronger coins, Maker or like BCH or even Aave. I wouldn't be targeting those for shorts, but maybe weaker charts that have bounced. Say has been weak and it's bounced, but especially real underperformers, again, like Filecoin, GRT, that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see this beautiful advance and fall through in the weekly consolidation. With Bitcoin and Ethereum, nice local break. Now, what do you want to do here on Ethereum? Of course, you're long if you got long at 2150, which is the multi-year high time frame pivot. We talked a lot about the tower top, the strong advance into the small bodies and then move down, local throwback and hold, set the range peak and break of 2900, right? So if you're an Ethereum bull, essentially you want to see it now hold the top of this structure here on any type of a bullish retest. It's pretty straightforward. So that kind of sets the tone for how I'm approaching things. It's Bitcoin's beautiful. It's bullish. No surprise. Been expecting continuation. We have been observing the clean weekly consolidation. Again, I'll get to the chat room in a second. Clean weekly consolidation, high and tight, and follow through. What exactly happens here? I don't know. I don't have a prediction for you. Are we going to 128K, 130K? Did we top? I don't really know any of that. It's not my job and not my style. I'm really going to continue to just to follow the trend, watch price first, EMA 8. But most certainly, we would now like to see this range peak hold on any type of a throwback. Okay. You could use 110K. You could use 112K as a potential throwback. What is a throwback? It's a bullish retest of broken resistance. Again, the Trading Encyclopedia has a video on that. So we'll see if we get a retest. You'd want to buy a dip. You want to position yourself to buy a dip in an uptrend, and kind of go from there. What's up, Psalm Capital, Martwan, Influence, Mohammed, Daniel, Will, Optimus, Camelot, Matej, nice to see you. Anis, nice to see you, folks. I hope everybody's having an awesome week. So let's get some questions. Let me try to add some value by answering questions. And for those of you folks who can hear me, have you checked out the Trading Encyclopedia playlist yet? Let me know. I'm really proud of this. I literally put on a new video every day. It's what you wanted. Way more active on YouTube. This is a great learning opportunity. Let me know if you've checked out the Trading Encyclopedia. If you haven't, you should. So, Camelot had asked me to look at sand first on the weekly. Sure. And you mentioned in relation to the Bollinger Bands. And the Bollinger Bands are bands developed by John Bollinger with the middle Bollinger MA20, and essentially measures, it's reflective of the volatility in the market. So it looks for essentially the price movement with two standard deviations from the middle band. And essentially here, what he's asking about is we have a Bollinger pinch, right? A Bollinger pinch, when the bands get tight, they kind of presage or suggest there's some volatility coming. We had a Bollinger pinch here, a nice move off of that. It's hard to, here's the thing. Okay, it's a great question. And this is true with almost everything. In a trending market, this could be something. This is not trending. There's no trend. How do I know? Just look at the blue line. It's flat. There's no trend here. So there's no really sense of what this Bollinger pinch will bring us. If we were looking at a weekly uptrend, and the bands were like doing this, you know, you're thinking, okay, we're probably going to continue because you continue with the trend. This Bollinger pinch doesn't tell us that much just because it's sideways. So all these techniques, all the things we've learned, classical charting, moving average crosses, even Japanese candlestick theory, candlestick signals, reversal candles, they're nothing. They don't give you anything in a sideways market. So this Bollinger pinch doesn't really mean that much to me. I mean, it is certainly it is reflective that consolidation's ending, and look, we have the volume trend, pretty clear volume trend. So this is probably going to do something in a few days, but it's pretty hard to handicap because there's literally no trend. And overall, I just don't like the chart, to be honest. I mean, I don't hate it, but I really definitely don't like it. So that hopefully answers your question about sand. So sad. Had to take profits, Optimus said. Well, you should never be sad if you took profit, right? What does it mean when you took some profit? Now, okay, if you completely exit the position, now you have FOMO. Now you have, well, I made $1,000. I could have made 1,200, right? You have to pay yourself for a good idea. You have to reward yourself for some type of a good trade idea. If you, for example, took a clean entry on the retest of 100K, you could trim some here, fine. Or even, like we talked about, the 81K was just a super easy long signal. We talked about the 4-hour structure in here, the 4-hour double bottom. A lot of people got long here, or even 88.5. It's okay to take some profit, and you should take some profit. You have to pay yourself for a good idea. You have to create that feedback mechanism, but you don't have to sell your whole position. You can scale in, you can scale out, and pardon me, it's okay, because remember, when you take a little profit or when you sell a little bit for a loss, your remaining decisions are easier, right? That's the whole idea. Is every time you reduce your position size, the remaining decisions are easier because it's a smaller percentage of your risk, your risk assets, and your emotional attachment to the money is less, so it's easier to play it. So don't feel bad if you took profit. You did a good job. Exciting market, yes. Muhammad says, May the Almighty Allah bless you. May the Almighty Allah bless you as well, Muhammad. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Psalm says, I had some really great trades this week on Break, and I had a really great trades this week, and I attribute a lot of that to what I learned from you. Thank you. Thank you, Psalm. You should always give yourself credit, though. I'm going to teach you how to fish. I'm going to teach you the skills, but when you're executing something and you do well, you took the risk, you pulled the trigger, you managed your emotions, and you did a good job, right? And if hopefully you learned some of the stuff from the encyclopedia and from the masterclass. I'm really happy that has helped. And I like when I record a video and it lands and it helps and people enjoy it. It makes me feel good. That's my positive feedback. Altcoin market still mostly dead, says Martwan. I guess it kind of depends. It kind of depends. Like some stuff's been decent recently. Yeah, even just while Bitcoin's been consolidating. Aave's been decent. BCH for sure. Look at that. I mean, oldie but goodie's been strong. BNB's been strong, which is good, healthy for altcoin markets. XRP, need I say more? TRX, right? Need I say more? Altcoin market's been dead. It just depends on what you're talking about. Like memes are doing pretty well. Some of them, SPX doing good. Hype is kicking butt. Not necessarily a meme. It just depends what you're playing. If you're just expecting, the rising tide to lift all boats like polka dot. I mean, this is a garbage chart. I have it here because I'm waiting for it to bounce a little bit more, maybe to target for a short. This is how I do. I look to trade with the trend, and you look at these kind of mercy bounces in bad charts like this. So it depends what you're playing. Weaker charts, even INJ, kind of watching for something. I mentioned GRT. This is probably the best example of a short setup I have right now. So it just depends when you say altcoin market, but it's been dead. I mean, some stuff's been decent. Maker looks pretty good. Maker's been pretty good. Zcash had that fake out breakout. Now it's just trendless here in the daily, but it's just the idea that you have to be picking and choosing and be careful with what you play. Don't just say altcoins. Don't just say like the market. Like pick good charts. There have been some good charts. Sam says, I like the idea of the trading encyclopedia. Thank you. Yeah, I know people have been asking me to record a new masterclass tutorial. What I'm actually doing is recording everything first in the encyclopedia, and then I'm going to record like a 2 or 3 hour tutorial doing all of the stuff in here. But I love the idea that you can just go to this encyclopedia, maybe put in a few search terms, and I'll have hopefully at least one video on it. How to draw a trend line, how to use RSI, what's divergence, what does it mean overbought, stuff like what's a double bottom, stuff like that. That I think will add real value. And these are 3-minute videos. So, you don't have to watch forever if you get distracted like I do. I think it's a nice format. David says, is there a cup and handle in the daily Aave? Okay. Sure. You could certainly call it a cup and handle. I don't know that I really need to call it a cup and handle. I don't know what you gain per se from saying like cup and handle. I don't know what you gain per se. It's the thing with naming patterns, and that I think we feel we need to attribute, and this isn't a criticism of you, David. I'm just saying in general, people, we have to label everything. No, like what is it calling it a cup and handle do for you? Because even if you want to call it a cup and handle, all this is below this resistance. So whatever you say about this, you're still priced below resistance. You're still consolidating below resistance. And at the end of the day, all that really matters is, what is the trend? Is it an uptrend? Can the price, clear resistance? Does it hold support? This doesn't have much of a trend. The trend's flattened out. Now, the weekly chart most certainly will be a little bit better because the price is trading near all-time highs. This is this was called an unconfirmed uptrend. Price above like a flat MA200 per se. But the thing is, I don't know what you gain by calling this a cup and handle, right? So it's a decent question, but I actually think it's the wrong question. What does it do for you? It doesn't gain you anything. It doesn't give you a new plan. It doesn't help you set your next trade. Aave looks pretty good, right? Could you take a long here on a local break about 320? Sure. But, you can do that. Just be aware you have overhead, right around 360, 370, and kind of play it level to level and go from there. If the price drops, you've got a decent pocket of support or demand around 240, 250, kind of play it that way. So is it a cup and handle? Honestly, who cares? And I have a video on this. I don't know if I've made it or I'm going to make it. No, I haven't made it yet, but I'm going to make it for the encyclopedia. And it's about, just focus less on naming a pattern and more on just trading the price structure, okay? How do I draw proper Fibonacci lines? I will do a video on drawing proper Fibonacci lines. I don't have one yet, but let me actually make a note because I want to draw that. That's a great topic. How to draw fibs. All right, let's go from there. Hey, Cheds, your insight's awesome. You mentioned INJ has been weak. Correct. What level needs to be recaptured for my thesis to flip? Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's the right question is however strongly you feel about whatever, whatever your thesis is, whatever your strategy is, you want to know when that strategy or, will change, when your thesis will be changed. So INJ has been weak. I don't like it, but what would it have to do for me to say, okay, this is a decent chart? I'd be interested in maybe taking along. I think it's got to recapture, somewhere around, 16, 17. I would want to see it recapture this lost support here, right? These lows very much roughly. That would line up with a 2-level filter break. It would suggest that the price has now at least regained the middle of the channel and has a chance to continue higher. So I would need to see INJ recapture probably more, maybe even 18. I'd say probably 1750, 18. I want to see that would be what I would say. Someone asked about Solana. Let's think about Solana. I haven't touched on it yet. Solana has a very big overhead level around 180, 185. I think that is quite clear. Any type of a move to the upside will need to deal with that. Okay, and this lost support was the price was rejected into the lost support with the this is the listing of the strategic reserve or whatever, right? Back in March, rejected. Strong move after recapture of 125 right into the 180 range, recapture, 125 range, low sweep and recapture, and then 180, 185, rejected and rejected again. So whatever it's doing here, it's consolidating essentially in between major support and resistance. Overall, the weekly picture is pretty good. It's still a pretty good looking weekly chart, price above the 200, but I don't know what I would do with it here in the middle. I'm really not touching it until it can clear 180. And that's my view on Solana. Somebody asked about Doge. I haven't looked at Doge in a while, actually. And maybe that's just because it's been weak and not really doing much. I'm not a huge fan of the chart, but it is working on a double eve, double eve, right? And the peak would be right around, 24, 25 cents. So if it can break 25, 25.50, you have a long thesis, right? What does that mean? You have a thesis, which means I have a trading idea. The price has formed a double bottom. It's now breaking out from the double bottom. And now I have, now I have potential to manage my risk. Because if I take long at 25, I can hold as long as it holds above 23, 23.5 or something like that, right? So I wouldn't really do anything with it here. It's generally a pretty weak chart. We are talking about a downtrend, price below the falling 200. So I kind of wait until it cleared that level. Ryan says, I love the daily videos. Thanks, Ryan. Watched the whole playlist yesterday. Awesome. That's what I want. Ryan, I have more coming. I've already recorded enough videos through July, and I'm trying to record 3, 4, 5 a day, just so I can build up a huge library. Some of them I would have liked a little more time spent on the topic. Yeah, that's a great call. Let me know which ones. I will probably end up recording like multiple videos on RSI and multiple videos on like certain topics that are nuanced, and there's a lot of little nuance and things I want to cover because I've studied these things and used them practically for so many years. There's a lot of little context things that I want to explain to you. So I will do some subjects, multiple times, and just please give me the feedback of what videos you want to see more of, and I will record them. But thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that, brother. Martwan says, Pepe Treasuries. What is that? Oh, that's funny. Waiting for company. Yeah, I'm waiting for Microsoft to start loading up on Pepe, right? I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's the future of finance. All right, so you have a bull break of a bear flag. That's a good development for Pepe. All right, and you have a descending supply trend break. That is quite obvious. And you could argue the lower high break, maybe somewhere around here, has already triggered. A more conservative trader might still be waiting for a break of those kind of early, middle June highs. So I think you can use that if you're looking to take a long. It's not bad, actually. Now, coming out of this consolidation, I do like a bull break of a bear pattern. I like any kind of momentum turnaround. That is generally how you want to position yourself, kind of like a head and shoulders. Like a head and shoulders that fails to break down, but instead invalidates the right shoulder. That's a very strong long signal. So I like the bull break of the bear flag. Influence, can you do an educational video on chart patterns? Yes. So I've already done a couple of those. I've already done Adam and Eve, Double Eve, and Head and Shoulders. I've done all of those. Influence. If you go to the Trading Encyclopedia playlist, I've already done double bottom, and I have already done the Head and Shoulders. They're not coming out yet. This is going to come out in like probably a few days. Head and Shoulders, inverted Head and Shoulders. And then these are all the videos I've recorded that haven't come out yet. Okay. High and tech consolidation, dark cloud cover. What's a pin bar? Volume and three candle patterns. Spring, false breakdown. How to draw a trend line. That was today. I think I did double bottom. So I did double bottom, double top, and then I did double bottom, going over Adam and Eve, and Eve, and then kind of the three variations, right? With the double bottom, you can have not only Adam and Eve, you could have and Eve. Then you can have like the lower low. With the sweep, you can have the equal lows. You can have the higher low, and I kind of talked about the nuance. So those are all coming. Great questions. BTC dominance thoughts. Let's take a look. I'll put it on this watch list. I have it in another one, but I'll put it in this watch list. I think it probably continues higher. I know a lot of people want to call top on this. Part of me is just counter trading them, but it's hard to still hard to bet against this trend. It's still hard to bet against this super steady grinding trend. Look at that weekly trend. Okay. People want dominance to top off. People want Ethereum to break out versus Bitcoin. Hasn't quite happened yet. We're still working on something, but Bitcoin is still the king for now. My best guess is that dominance continues higher. That's just very simply what I would say about it. I also will say it doesn't make any sense to do advanced TA on the dominance chart. It's not bought and sold, right, in the way that like QNT, Make or Fun or something else is, ADA, whatever. So I highly recommend you do not like draw divergence on the dominance chart. To me, that just makes zero sense. All right. You're welcome, Influence. Appreciate you. What's your opinion on using order blocks as a system for trading? It's a really good question. And I'll do a video on order blocks. There's great stuff out there as well. And I'm certainly not claiming to be the only guy who can do videos on these things. Go ahead and watch anyone else. I'm just trying to create some value. If you trade based on the order book, you can do it. I have mixed feelings about that. There's certain things you can look at, things like when you notice, like a prop bid, like a fake bid holding up the price, trying to convince retail to jump in just so there's distribution, or a loading, or a loading wall, a fake ask. There's stuff like that. I just think you want to orient yourself to just focus on what's called the four corners of the chart, which is what we see here in front of us. I use the four corners of the chart, and then I add in sentiment, like a sentiment analysis. That's my style. This is the style that I teach you. Doesn't mean it's the only way. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I don't really use order blocks or the order books in my methodology. So that's what I would have to say. I already covered XRP. I don't know that we need to go to like the 4 hour, but whatever, sure. I mean, what do you think about the 4 hour? Okay, 4 hours strong. It's a strong looking 4 hour. It's incredibly bullish. Look at that beautiful price rise, riding the EMA. A little bit of an upper shadow here in this candle, but that's fine. Still held about half the gains, closed at the upper Bollinger Band. XRP looks strong. We'll see how the daily candle closes. We'll reassess there. Again, I would for sure be looking to buy a throwback or a bullish retest of like that 250 range if you get a chance. Matic, what do we think about Matic? It's a great room so far. Great questions. Hope everybody is doing well. Matic kind of has that, maybe double bottom look. It is a downtrend. I'm actually more prone to look for a short here, right? I'm more prone. This is one that I'd be looking at 4 hour for some candle weakness because it is a downtrend that has just bounced. I talked about this tweet yesterday. I was about a day early, perhaps. If Bitcoin stops and consolidates here, you're going to want to look at the weaker altcoins that have just bounced. Sure, it's a double bottom, but what is something like 2/3 of double bottoms fail? Something, or 60%, just like 60% of double tops fail. Trends tend to continue. We have a bounce in a downtrend. So it's a potential short setup, either here, maybe a little bit higher. If it can, by some miracle, clear, 27 cents, maybe you can think about a long thesis, but still, I just don't think that's a great setup overall, just because it's a downtrend, okay? You're welcome, Daniel Martwan says, congrats on 50K subs. Thank you, brother. This is part of the daily education. No, this is part of the quick markets update series on my YouTube channel. I have the brand new trading encyclopedia playlist, new videos every day. This should be your one-stop shop to learn about techniques. Check out Trading Quotes. It's my third book. I'm doing the whole thing for free. The entire book, all 52 weeks plus the quarterly wrap-up. That's because my brand new book is available on Amazon, The Trading Journal. Learn from your mistakes, why you should use a trading journal, how to fill one out, sample trading setups. This is a Trading Wisdom Part 2. It's a how-to guide for trading. Of course, I'm on Bitcoin Live at Big Cheds. I've been doing that for 7 years as a founding analyst. I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds as well. I've been doing that for 11, 12 years. And if you're looking for an exchange, my favorite exchange is BingX. We talked a lot about Bitcoin and the consolidation on the weekly time frame, how it's no surprise to see a nice bull break from this high and tight consolidation. And just thankful that I'm part of this space. Thankful to see Bitcoin continuing to trade in such a logical fashion. Waiting to see if Ethereum can hold on a throwback, would be a buyer on a throwback to the peak of this consolidation range. Waiting for Solana to break 180. And watching several altcoins, several of the weaker altcoins like GRT, for example, watching them for potential short setups, even Matic. Other altcoins as well, like XRP, TRX, are grinding higher. At this point, what's Bitcoin doing? Is it going to stop here? Is it going to continue? I mean, intuitively, you might think it would pause to consolidate, but there's really no way to say because we don't have any price history up here. It's a blue sky breakout. You don't want to bet against the trend. I would not be shorting Bitcoin. If you want to short something, short a weak chart that's bounced, okay? You're going to get in a lot of trouble trading against the trend. You don't want to do that with Bitcoin. So thank you, everybody. Oh, one last one. Sure, I'll do link. And I'm going to wrap it up because I got some yard work to do. And I want to record some more videos for the Trading Encyclopedia playlist, folks. Check it out. Like many of these other ones, that's its attempted kind of double rounded bottom type of look. In this case, you have the troughs, and your peaks are right up here around 17 bucks. I would do nothing unless it can clear 17.50. You can, if you want to target this for a short, that's absolutely viable. It is a weaker chart. It has bounced some type of an up thrust. Like, for example, if we start to lose 15.30, that would be a short setup. You can use an up thrust thesis here on this lower high. We see the lower high on the right side of the broader double bottom or double eve structure. The peak of this structure is 17.50. So yeah, I don't like it. You could short here. You could short a little bit higher. You could take a breakout in 17.50. That's if you get price interaction with a key level. That's my general thoughts on Link. So, all right, a couple more. Sui was requested. All right, Sui, bounce. This is the two-level filter test. What's the two-level filter? Two-level filter is explained in the Trading Encyclopedia playlist. I have it in here somewhere, two-level filter. See, I'm not going to waste your time searching for it, but it's in here. It's like Bitcoin, two-level filter example. Here we go. Two-level filter breakout, Bitcoin example 88.5. And the idea of a descending supply trend break. Then you mark out a major lower high to use. And this is the bounce, and it's testing the lower high. I don't know that I'd be shorting here because it's a reasonably strong trend. I might more so be positioning to take a long on a recapture, maybe 350, 360 range. Okay. Let's see. Actually, Bonk was looking pretty good. Let me see. I checked it yesterday. What's the update? Okay, it is right here. It's right at the peak. This is a double bottom with a higher low, potential double bottom with the higher low structure, rising demand. Here's your peak. It very clearly needs to break this level. We see lost support. has turned into resistance. It's the principle of polarity. Very clear level to manage your risk. So if it clears it, you can take long, even wait for a throwback. If it breaks out, wait for a throwback even to that level. So John says, thanks for keeping it real. It's the only way I know how to do it, folks. I'm super grateful. I can just hit a couple buttons, go live, and hear from you all around the world. I love your feedback. I love your participation. Thank you, folks. I'll do another live stream Tuesday. I do these Tuesday, Friday. So this is part of quick market updates. I'll be back Tuesday. I will be around, though. Check out my videos, folks. Check out the Trading Encyclopedia. You're going to love it. I will talk to you folks soon. Let's get that Church of 8 Wheels going again. And thank you.